Batten down the hatches and take the helm. It's time for adventure, seaside headlines, and a splash of mischief. Welcome to Marine Conservation Happy Hour, where coastal news meets pirate spirit, and every story comes with a twist. And now, your host, Dr. Scarlet Smash and Dr. Kraken McCracken.
This is the Marine Conservation Happy Hour. I'm Dr. Scarlet Smash, and this is Dr. Craken, and we are your local Florida swashbucklers, bringing you Florida ocean and bay news topics, pirate stories, and shenanigans. Grab your drink and come on board. Our Gulf Coast may look calm, but there's a lot happening underneath the surface. You never know what's going on underneath the waters. But from protecting our beaches to tackling invasive lions, we have Alex Fogg here on the show today. So we're going to have such an awesome segment today. And Alex is on the front line of this. He is the natural resource chief for Destin-Fort Walton Beach. And he is with us now. Alex, welcome. We're so excited to have you on the show.
Yeah,
the Lionfish King.
Yeah,
right?
Something. Yeah, it's a fun thing. Whatever the title may be, I'll go with it.
Wait a minute. Who gave you this title?
Who knows? It was probably AI, so it's fake, right?
No, I love it. Keep it going. I love that. So the Lionfish King, and that is because of what specifically?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm down here in Destin-Fort Walton Beach managing natural resources. And when I started, it was really just me, and there was a lionfish problem off our coast. I came with a background of marine biology, got my master's at University of Southern Mississippi, looking specifically at invasive lionfish life history. So pretty much everything about them. So naturally, it required a lot of diving to actually go and get them, because you don't really catch them on hook and line. You don't really catch them in nets.
Totally.
So that's really when my dive career really took off, and harvesting as many lionfish as possible was not only good for the research side of things, but it was awesome for participating in tournaments or hosting tournaments for folks who caught the most lionfish, biggest lionfish, smallest lionfish, or even selling lionfish to pay for my master's.
Oh.
So it ended up being a very interesting, 3-4 years of my life. And now it's still very much ingrained in what I do on a daily basis.
Okay. Let's paint a picture for our listeners. Okay. So underneath the water, what is happening underneath the water with these lionfish and the ecosystem in the environment?
Why are they such a problem?
And that's the thing. Like you see these, everyone, if you get on Google and just type in lionfish, a picture of a fish shows up that's just beautiful. And when you look at the Gulf or the Atlantic for that matter, there's no other fish like it. I mean, it looks like it's not supposed to be there. And that's the case. They're an invasive species, a non-native invasive species that got here likely through the aquarium trade. People loved them in their aquarium.
Oh, I mean, it looks like it's supposed to be going down the red carpet of the Oscars. Okay.
Exactly. No, they're beautiful.
Met Gala, yeah.
Yeah.
And people didn't want them in their aquarium anymore for whatever reason, couldn't take care of them. And as opposed to flushing them down the toilet, they just released them. Out of sight, out of mind. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, male, female, just turned into a bigger issue than I think anyone would have ever expected, especially for a tropical fish being released in our waters. That happened back in the mid 1980s. And then fast forward to early 2000s, and you had lionfish showing up all up and down the eastern seaboard, the Bahamas, the Caribbean. They hadn't quite made it to the Gulf yet. That wasn't until about 2010. So they really haven't been here that long.
So do they reproduce really fast?
Yeah. So
they're horny fish.
They are. They're like the jackrabbits of the sea.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Multiplying. Okay.
So, they're reproducing and all these babies are popping out, or settling, but there's nothing really eating them. So it's a recipe for disaster as far as them out competing or overpopulating a reef.
And the hungry fish as well. So they're eating everything on the reef.
Yeah. So they got to grow, right? And they have a very voracious appetite. So when they first showed up, and we thought that the system was just going to collapse. You're throwing in this stressor that, the oceans can't take much more in a lot of cases. So you throw this new stressor in there, and we thought we were going to see a collapse. And in many cases, we did see changes in the ecology, changes in what sort of species abundance there was on different reefs. But fortunately, we've not seen the collapse that maybe we were theorizing early on. There's a lot of critters, a lot of those small critters we don't know much about. So they very well may have taken a huge hit. But the snappers and groupers and amberjacks and all the things that you like to see on your table and like to get at the seafood stores, they're still there. And yes, they're being stressed by a bunch of other stuff, but lionfish were not the nail in the coffin by any means.
But the thing is that we have so many Floridians that go out there fishing. How is it that they're not catching all these lionfish?
Yeah, you go out to really any reef in Florida and you drop your line down, your line is probably within 10 feet of a lionfish. But
and it's not taking.
They're so lazy.
No way.
They just sit there
way.
You know, some of the work we did is you open them up to look at, you know, whatever you're looking for, and their body cavities are just coated in fat. They're so lazy that they're building up so much fat. They're like the Americans of the fish world.
Right? McDonald's, right?
Yeah.
But hold on. You would think that they would be yummy to another predator.
Well, they are, and they're incredible to eat. I mean, you compare them to any other fish, they're by far the best fish or table fare that we have in the Gulf, to be honest. But native species don't recognize them as a prey item. Not to mention they're a little bit spicy. They got venomous spines.
Yeah,
so you may try and take a bite once, and you may make that mistake.
It's like a jalapeno pepper on it. Okay.
Yeah.
They're like, that's definitely not from our region. We still do meat potatoes over here.
Some fish like spicy food, and there's plenty of fish out there that eat lionfish, but it's not enough to keep them under control.
Okay, but you said that they're yummy, so I'm assuming you can catch them and put them on our plate.
Yeah, so going back, you don't really catch them hook and line. Every once in a while, someone gets lucky and drops their bait right in front of one, and they eat it. The most efficient way to get them is to go as a diver with a spear. And because they don't do anything,
with a trident.
Aquaman.
You're going down there.
Aquaman contest. Why don't we have that in Florida? I could totally see the Florida man doing an Aquaman contest with spears.
Oh yeah, spearing a venomous fish. It can get sporty for sure.
So what are you doing? Like, what kind of inventions are we doing to capture them?
Yeah, so there's been a lot of work done over the years to try and find ways of commercializing this fish because they taste awesome. But there's a lot of them out there. It's just how do you get them efficiently? You can't scoop them up like shrimp in a trawl. You can't get them on, hook and line like you would, something, long line or bandit reels or something like that. So it really comes down to the diver. And while I could go down and get 300 pounds of fish in a day, comparing that to a long line boat or a shrimp boat that's coming in with 10,000 pounds of fish or product in a day, it's apples and oranges. Fortunately, we can go out and get enough to supply a local restaurant or really anybody who wants it. And it kind of drives up the price a little bit. So it makes it a more valuable fish because, you're starving the market and a lot of people want it, but the restaurants, can only serve it when they get it. And when they do, they price it more than grouper, more than snapper, more than your native fish. And people buy it because it tastes damn good and it's kind of an exotic.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you partner with these local restaurants?
Yeah.
And if a restaurant owner is listening to you right now, what do they do? How do they get a hold of you and get involved in this?
Don't be afraid to serve it. So you serve it, you treat it like any other seafood product. Yes, I mentioned they're venomous, but they aren't poisonous. So you actually have to get stung for there to be an effect. You can eat this all day long and there is no risk whatsoever. No more risk than eating any other fish. So really
kind of like stingrays, right? We can eat a stingray.
Yeah, just cut the spines off.
We're cutting the spine off. Obviously, we're saying please do not eat stingrays.
Yeah,
that was just a hypothetical scenario. Okay, continue.
Yeah.
Continue with your lionfish.
Same concept. But restaurants, they reach out often trying to get lionfish, and when they call me out of the blue, it's we'll see if we can get you some, and they ask how much it is, and they kind of scoff at it a little bit because it is expensive. It costs a lot because it's very laborious to go and get. Not to mention, you could take one 40-pound grouper and turn that into dinner for a bunch of people in one night, whereas each lionfish is one dinner. So it requires a lot more effort to fillet them and the risk of getting poked. You're not going to die, but it doesn't feel good. And I don't think they want the people, they're fishmongers. They don't want their people getting hurt. So there's a lot of steps to get it from the water to the restaurant, but it's not impossible.
Okay, well, sell me. I'm a restaurant owner, Alex. Sell me. How much, why do I want that lionfish? And how much is it? And how much can I charge someone for it?
If you line up lionfish with your top selling seafood, it will outsell all of those,
Really?
even if you put a premium on it. And it comes down to the restaurant educating the public about that. They're helping the Gulf, they're helping the Atlantic, they're helping the environment by eating this fish, and it's healthy. It's good for you. Yeah,
That's a good one.
So how do you cook it? Can you do like a sort of sashimi, or
Yeah,
do
because
you
when
like
I'm thinking fat, I'm thinking like
deep fry it and batter
deep
it?
fried.
Or...
That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
So everything that you name is how you can do it. You've seen Forrest Gump and how Bubba talks about all the ways to prepare shrimp.
Love him.
It's the exact
Love
same
him.
way. Lionfish crudo, lionfish sushi, lionfish fried, lionfish grilled. You can go on and on and on. We can do the whole show. Exactly. Yep. So
Okay.
it's a very long list. You cannot go wrong cooking it though. Or
So
not
it's
cooking.
not chewy, like, because I'm thinking because it's fatty, it would be chewy and gummy, kind of like calamari.
No, so the exact opposite of calamari. So it's super, super flaky. Those fats, they break down and just flakes apart into, how whatever dish that you're doing. Like if you fry it, it'll keep it together for a sandwich or something. But if you put it on tacos, you put it, over pasta. Again, here we go. We're doing the Forrest Gump thing again, just rattling off all these different preparations. But my favorite preparation is ceviche. You get it right off the boat, you cut it up into small pieces, cook it in citrus, and then mix it up with a bunch of fresh veggies, serve it over a chip.
Ceviche. Okay.
Yep.
So how can the public get involved in helping with this situation?
Yeah, no matter where you live, you have a seafood restaurant, a nice seafood restaurant that has the potential to serve lionfish, and they're getting their fish from.
So we just need to demand it at the table. Be like,
exactly.
Oh, you got lobster? What is that?
Exactly.
Where's the lionfish?
They're getting salmon from way further than they would have to get lionfish.
Salmon? You're giving me salmon when I can have lionfish right here out of my water? Yes.
Exactly. Exactly. No, and that is the truth. But if you're a diver and you go on vacation to go diving, odds are you're going to a place that has lionfish. So not only in the restaurants, but you can get it yourself. It's not a very hard thing to go and get because these animals don't fear anything. So they'll just sit there, and it's, as gruesome as it sounds, it's like target practice. You can shoot them, and if you miss, it's going to sit there and wait for you to do it again.
These silly little lionfish just sitting there for open target practice. Well, I have an idea for you, and I'm not going to tell you until we get back from this break. And if you're listening to us, don't forget to follow us on social media and find our podcast, The Marine Conservation Happy Hour.
All hands on deck, raise a glass, and ready the crew. Now, back to Marine Conservation Happy Hour. Bold, briny, and just a bit rebellious. Now your hosts, Dr. Scarlett Smash and Dr. Kraken McCracken.
Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, we have Alex Fogg here, the Natural Resource Chief of Destin-Fort Walton Beach. And he is here talking to us about lionfish mitigation. That's right, we're talking about lionfish, those really pretty fish in our waters that actually are not supposed to be there. And we were just talking about how yummy they tasted. Apparently, they taste really good and yummy. And two, they're really lazy fish. So they're practically like target practice because once you shoot at them, they don't run away. They just kind of sit there and wait for you to do it again, which is absolutely silly. But on that note, I promised that I would tell you about my idea. Now, tell me, with these lionfish being really, really easy to shoot and also overpopulated and they're invasive and we need to get them out of our waters, why don't we do a fishing tournament?
Literal fish in a
Bingo.
barrel.
So so tournaments. That's something that we really ramped up during my time for my master's. Is I needed a lot of fish quickly. So we found ways to incentivize people going out and getting fish to provide samples essentially for the work that I was doing. But now it's morphed into more than just the research. It's now a tourism product. So we now host the world's largest lionfish tournament in Destin-Fort Walton Beach. And giving away, $150,000, $200,000 worth of cash and prizes to people going out and getting lionfish. And then they come back and they sell those lionfish and make even more money. So it's a very lucrative, weekend for the divers that are participating in this event.
Okay, come on now. We're all in Florida, so tell us the details.
Yeah. So it's the weekend after Mother's Day in May every
perfect.
year.
It's coming up.
Right. It's coming up.
It is coming up.
Everyone, start registering now. Let's go. This is
exactly.
amazing.
When you put it that way, it makes me kind of cringe a little bit because we're not ready yet, but we will be by the time the tournament comes.
It's always how it works.
Yeah.
Okay,
so
continue.
It's called the Emerald Coast Open. So you can go to emeraldcoastopen.com and you can learn all about it, talking about how you can earn prizes now by going out and getting lionfish to provide us with fish that we then put towards Restaurant Week, which we can talk about that in a second. But the main tournament, it's 2 days, dive from sunrise to sunset, kill as many lionfish as possible. We give prizes, $10,000 for the most lionfish, $5,000 for the biggest lionfish, and $5,000 for the smallest lionfish. Yes, we reward for the small ones too.
Oh.
So that you can go out and shoot 3,000 lionfish and take home the gold, or you can go out and shoot 5 lionfish, and if one happens to be the biggest or the smallest, you're taking home $5,000. But we also pay all the way to 10th place, and you can't win multiple categories within one. You can't win more than once.
A lot of people can win. A lot of people will win. I'm getting really excited now. I'm not an expert in shooting. Is this easy for me to join?
It's so easy. So I think it's like $100 to register. You get a t-shirt, you get a whole bunch of stuff with way more than $100 worth of stuff. But then you can go out in a charter. And like I said, you can find 5 lionfish, and a lot of it's luck. You don't have to be a great shooter. You don't have to be an expert fisherman. You can go down and shoot a few fish. And if it happens to be your big or small one, you're in the money. And you've paid for your trip.
You just need a spear so you can go out there and like Buffy them.
Yep.
Oh, you think I'm going to be that good at buffying them? I mean, I've only been able to buffy one fish, and that was in the Amazon rainforest, and I was on a boat, and I speared it from there. But I don't think I would be able to do it again. I think that was pure luck.
So it is so easy. It's essentially a stationary object, and you're using a stick.
Oh yeah, because they're lazy. I forgot about that.
Yep, they're lazy and they don't fear anything, so they don't have that flight response. They just kind of hunker down and think, oh, I have venomous spines, no one's going to mess with me, until the human comes down on dive gear and pops them with a spear.
Oh, man.
But it's essentially a rubber band on a stick. That's all it is. And then you put it into a tube called a zookeeper, and that protects you from the spine. So you never have to come in contact with the fish, and you're protected the whole time.
Oh, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was thinking that you would just keep collecting on the spear. Like it would
in the early days, that's what people would do. And that's what I would do. And it was not the best idea, but you did what you had to do, right?
Yeah, like a kebab. Exactly.
Yeah. A very pointy, prickly kebab.
Yes. Oh man. And if you hit one wave and that kebab came right at you, ooh.
Yeah, it's a bad day.
Talk about having a bad day. Yes. Okay. Now tell us about the restaurants.
Yeah, so Restaurant Week. So we started the pre-tournament for the Emerald Coast Open on February 1st, where we let people go out whenever they want, whenever the weather's good. And when they come in with fish, they have to donate them to us. We then give them raffle tickets that they can then win some pretty epic prizes, vacations, dive gear, all that other stuff. But we take all those fish, we process them, get them down to a fillet, and vacuum seal them and freeze them until the week leading up to the event in May. So basically from Mother's Day until the event, each night a different restaurant hosts Restaurant Week. And we provide them with about 100 to 150 portions of lionfish. We give it to them for free. We encourage them to sell it as if they bought it at a premium. So that demonstrates that you're going to be able to sell the crap out of this fish at no risk. And then we get to showcase a whole bunch of different presentations, because sometimes it's a Mexican restaurant, sometimes it's a sushi restaurant, sometimes it's just your classic, grill. So we're getting a lot of really awesome preparations out of it. And it's another competition. And restaurants love to compete against each other because they all want to have that title of being the best at whatever it is, whether it's lionfish or gumbo or whatever. So we've been doing Restaurant Week since 2019, and gosh, it's a lot of fish that we've provided to those restaurants. But they then serve lionfish when it's not tournament season. They buy lionfish from the divers because they know that they can sell it.
Now,
so you're basically getting them hooked on the lionfish.
Yeah,
first dose is free.
Like a lionfish dealer.
Lionfish dealer.
First taste is free.
That's why you're called the king lionfish king. That's
like a kingpin.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so my question is, why don't you have stations like competition stations within Florida?
Yeah, so that's a question I get asked by a lot of competitors around the state.
Yes.
It is very difficult to aggregate all these fish and have control to make sure that, the
Ah,
fish are actually not being, double sold or whatever, not to
gotcha.
mention the food safety side of it.
Right.
So for us being able to have eyes on it and work with a processor here locally, we can keep tabs of what's going on.
Makes
That's not to say
sense.
it couldn't expand in the future, but this is also a Destin-Fort Walton Beach event. So while we would love to encourage a bunch of folks to go and shoot lionfish in Fort Lauderdale and stuff, that's not where our efforts lie. I would love to
Okay.
work with some folks down there, but they just don't have the same excitement around it.
Excitement. Okay, well, I want to know what else I can do around Destin Fort.
So go to the beach. That's always the natural.
Yeah, we
But
got beaches here too.
so you come for a week. I'm not a beach guy. I don't
Yeah.
I don't go places to go to the beach.
Same.
If I go to the beach, it's for one day. It's because I got dragged there. And
Yeah,
I'm
it was
looking
a friend from the
Exactly.
north
Yeah,
or something
exactly.
like that visiting you. Yeah, we all are there. Yeah.
So what we really try and do here in Destin-Fort Walton Beach is encourage people to do other things. And we encourage families to come here to not only get introduced to the water, but to really explore, do things that are outside their comfort zone. So getting people to try fishing for the first time at our pier, or going out on like a quick inshore 2 to 3 hour trip and catch some pinfish and get people excited about it. Encourage people to go to the jetty with one of our operators to learn to snorkel, then take it to the next level and become a diver,
Oh,
and then go offshore and do
fun.
some of the deeper wreck dives and become a wreck diver. And then next thing you know, 5, 6 years from now, they're in the Emerald Coast Open Lionfish Tournament, and we've got them participating in that. We also have, believe it or not, we're not just a beach town. Just a little bit north of us, you can go hiking, you can go camping, you can do things that are completely separate from the beach. And that's what's so cool about our destination, is we aren't really built up like a lot of other beach destinations. You can do these other things and get away and not even know that you're 20 minutes away from the beach.
Talking about the diving, I know you've been involved with some coral reef
Yes.
restoration and artificial reef work as well.
Yeah.
So can you tell us a bit about that? 'Cause
You
I heard
sunk a ship, didn't you?
You basically sunk
Oh,
the
man.
Titanic or something.
So you guys are picking on the two things that I'm most passionate about. There's a lot of things at my job that require a lot of paperwork, and these do, but the paperwork is so worth it.
Oh.
So we talked about the lionfish. Now,
Yeah.
artificial reefs.
Yeah.
We don't, up in Destin-Fort Walton Beach here, we do not have the traditional corals that you would see in the Keys and the Caribbean and other places. It gets a little bit too cold in the wintertime. And we don't really have the natural limestone outcroppings that you would see in other places that provide really good fishing and diving locations for people. So we rely on artificial reefs to create habitat for the fish that people like to go fishing for, but also destinations that people like to go diving. So if we didn't have artificial reefs or an artificial reef program, people would be going to the same spot over and over and over again, fighting with 10 other boats to fish that site, and it would just be a horrible experience. And it'd be horrible for the fish too, because you're catching them all out. But by providing lots and lots and lots of habitat, hundreds of artificial reefs that we've deployed over the last 6, 7 years, that spreads out that effort and makes a better experience for everybody. But we're really trying to differentiate ourselves from just a fishing town to also be a diving town or a diving destination. So we're deploying large vessels, large wrecks, because everybody who likes to dive wants to be a wreck diver. And maybe if you've never been diving before, you still want to be a wreck diver.
Oh, that's Dr. Kraken over
Fabulous.
here.
I love wreck diving. It's
You're
the best.
making the big kid out of him come out for sure.
It's true though. It's true. I mean, there's lots of natural wrecks out there that are the result of, war or, crashing into each other or whatever it may be. But we're intentionally sinking these things in depths that are accessible to as many people as possible, to where that beginner diver, those ones that I talked about who are maybe just getting into it, maybe even a junior diver, can go out and explore the wheelhouse. And then they can see down a little bit deeper and be like, okay, next trip, I'm going to go there. And it builds their confidence and it gets them to the next level.
Dr. Kraken, doesn't this sound like a destination, a future, a vacation for us?
I think so. I
want to go.
I love wreck diving. I love night wreck diving because you're putting around your light there.
We're not even getting there. I'm never following him again in a night dive.
And it's like you're on the Titanic. It's just so cool.
Yeah. Well, speaking about the Titanic, though, we're about to deploy the world's largest artificial reef, and it looks very similar to the Titanic. It's a former ocean liner called the SS United States. And if you Google it, you'll understand what I mean by it looks like the Titanic.
Oh, I saw a picture.
Man.
It's huge.
That
It's
sounds
huge.
so amazing. It sounds like
Yep.
we need to have Alex on the show again, but we are totally running out of time. And I want everyone to know where to find you, Alex.
Yep.
Tell them.
So you can go to destinfwb.com to find pretty much everything that I talked about today. And if you're interested in the Emerald Coast Open Lionfish Tournament, go to emeraldcoastopen.com.
Perfect. And we hope that you enjoyed this segment. Follow us on social media. And if you love our shenanigans, find our podcast on the Marine Conservation Happy Hour podcast.